Hi guys, it's Lynn with Curiosity Crochet. Today I thought we would make another hat. This one is a little bit different. It's a bit of a spring summer sun hat. I wanted to make the brim a little longer than it turned out, but I ran out of yarn this color, so it was a short brim. Now you guys can make your brim as long or as short as you want. It does look cute even just with this little brim, but I think it would look even cuter if you went a couple more rows longer with the brim. But I'll take you through the whole thing. Now, don't mind my flower. My dog snagged the one part, so it's just a puff flower, real easy. I can show you guys how to do that too. This one is worked from the top down, and you, just like always, you can use any yarn you want. For the increases, this is the top here is the increases, and it measures 7 inches across. So I would suggest somewhere between, 6 and 8 inches is where you want it, depending on head size, when you get done doing increases. And then we take a turn and do this cute pattern that I came up with. Now, it would probably look even better on solid colors, but it's up to you. You can use variegated solid. You could do one color here and do a different color on the brim. It's totally up to you. I used Premier Everyday. This skein has 180 yards in it, but part of the skein had been used for something else. So I probably used about 160 yards is what I used. It's a medium 4, so, but it's one of those ones that's a little bit on the lighter side of a 4. So, use your best judgment. And like I said, you can use any yarn you want. You might, you could do a 3 weight. You just have to do more increases than I did. Because 3 weight, it doesn't go as far as 4 weight. And if you use a 5 weight, you might have to do less increases. I just suggest measuring where your increase ends, so that it's anywhere between 6 and 8 inches across. So like, you'll take it and lay it flat. Like, it's kind of hard to do with the hat all made, but you'll just lay it flat, and then you'll take your tape measure and you'll measure from one side to the other. See, mine's just about 7 inches across. So, and it fits loose enough so that it's not a tight, winter hat. It's a nice loose, spring summer-like hat. And it's actually pretty comfortable. But this recommends a 5.5, but I used a 6. I used a 6mm crochet hook, which it's a J. It's a J hook if you don't know the numbers. So J or 6mm. And then of course you'll need your, I am so out of it today, you guys. I'm sorry. I keep saying and I don't like when I do that. So I would catch myself and then I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Yeah, I got up early today, and it's just been a morning, so I'm kind of out of it, so I apologize in advance. But of course, you'll need scissors and your tapestry needle, and I suggest having the tape measure if you're using a different kind of yarn than I'm using. But I will tell you the stitch count and everything that I have that I'm doing it with, and then I'll let you know, like for 3 weight, you might want to do 1 or 2 more increases, and I'll tell you as we go. And with the, like I said, with 5 weight, you probably do 1 or 2 less increases than I would. But if you're using the same exact yarn as me, you can just follow along with the counts that I have that I did. I'm going to use the same kind of yarn, but I'm using the regular everyday, and it's a solid color. And I'm going to do the brim in a different color, so I can try something a little different, because this hat's really cute anyways, and I think these might sell really good at a craft fair, so having an extra one doesn't bother me in the least. But their variegated is a little thinner than their solid colors, so, and not very much, just a tad bit. So you can't really use some of their variegateds with their solids because it turns out different because they're just a tad different. But you know, it is what it is. And then at the end I'll show you how I did the flower, and I just sewed it on, and I'll show you all that when we get to that part. So I hope I didn't leave anything out. Let's get all of our stuff set and ready, and I'll meet you back and we'll get going. Okay guys, I made an executive decision while I was away for myself, because I really wanted to make this with three different colors really, because I'm going to do the top of the hat in one color, and then the brim in one, and then I'm going to make the flower in another. So I have decided, and I'm mixing yarns here like crazy, but I'm using Bernat satin. And these two, this color here and this color are both Bernat satin. And then I'm going to use Caron Simply Soft white for the flower. This was just a mill end, so it's a big ball of yarn. And this table that I got is helpful, and I like that it's white and it brightens it up, but it's not super big, so I don't have a lot of room here. So I just wanted to show you guys what I decided on. And the other thing I thought of was, you know, after we get the initial top part done, and then we start on the pattern, you could do that in two different colors too. You would just change color every other row. So there's a row with the crisscross, and then there's a row of just double crochet in between those. So you could do one color in the double crochet and one color in the crisscross row. And that might look really pretty too. But it's all personal preference. A lot of it's, you know, just what you're looking for it to come out to look like, basically. And if you're going to do it that way, you could switch colors on this top part too, instead of it just being one single color. It's all up to you guys. And my camera's angle is odd. But, so, since we're starting top down, I'm not going to do a magic circle for this one. We're just going to do a slip knot. And I'm still using my 6mm with this yarn, because it's very comparable to Premier Everyday anyways. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this first chain here, and we're going to slip stitch to that first chain and form a ring. Now you want to make sure when you start working here, you want to go in to the middle of that ring. You don't want to go into that first chain that you slip stitched. You want to go in the middle. And I tend to do this a little loose so that I can see where that middle is. To start, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And that counts as our first double crochet. Now we're going to find that middle. We're going to yarn over. We're going to insert right in that middle, and we're going to do another double crochet. And now you're going to do 10 more. So altogether, including your chain 3, you'll have 12. So we've got 2 now, we need 10 more. Just right through that middle. Okay, so go ahead and get that all the way around until you have 12, including your chain 3, and I'll meet you back. Okay, once you come around and you've got your 12, remember, including your chain 3, and you could always go back and count. I always go back and count, especially when I'm first starting, so that I don't throw my stitch count off right to begin with. But now you're going to take this tail end, and hopefully you crocheted around it, and you're going to pull that tight. And then we're going as tight as you can initially. Let's put it that way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the top of that chain 3. So not the first double crochet, but the top of that chain 3. We're going to slip stitch to. Okay? And then you can finish pulling that tight so that it closes that hole up good for you. And then we're going to chain 3 again. And now we're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch. So this is our first one. So you're going to go back in to that spot where we slip stitched and put 1 more. That makes it 2 right there. And then this next stitch here sometimes hides when you work into chain 3s. So you want to make sure you don't miss that because it will throw your stitch count off. So just pull it back a little bit and you'll see, like if you pull this way, you'll see that next stitch. And you want to go in there and put 2 double crochets. And then just 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you when we get up to the end here. Okay, then when you come around, you'll have 1 more stitch here to do 2 in. Now, you should have 24 stitches when you come around here. And this here is your slip stitch, so you don't work into that. You just want to get into that last stitch. So you can go around and count. I'm going to count real quick. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Okay, so we've got 24 stitches now. And again, we're going to slip stitch in the top of that first chain 3. So you just want to get in there however you do it in your chain 3 and slip stitch it. Then we're going to chain 3 again. This counts as our first double. And we're going to find that hidden stitch here and we're going to put 2 in there. So remember that chain 3 counts as our first one. So we do 1 and then 2. So then our next stitch here will be 1 double crochet. And then we'll do 2. So it's 1 and an increase, which is 2 doubles in 1 stitch. And that's what you're going to repeat for this round. You're going to do 1 by itself and then 2 in the next. Okay, so go ahead and repeat that and I'll meet you back. Okay, when you come around, you should have 2 stitches left and you'll have your 1 by itself and then your increase. Now, the way I do these, you'll always end on an increase. So your very last one will be an increase every single time, every single round that we do an increase. So now you should have 36 stitches. And as long as you ended right where it was 1 by itself and an increase, you should have the right stitch count, but you can always go back and count too, just to be on the safe side. Slip stitch to that top of that chain 3. And then now we're going to do a couple more increase rounds. So we're going to chain 3. That's our first. Now we're going to put 1 in the next one, that one that likes to hide. So now we have 2 in a row. Sorry guys, my yarn is fighting me a little bit here. I love getting mill ends from Yarnspirations because especially when they have a good deal on it. But sometimes it's just a big mess trying to work with them. But so now we have 2 in a row, and now we're going to do that increase. So we're going to put 2 in the same stitch. So now we're going to put 2 in a row by themselves. 1 and 2. And then an increase. So that's what you're going to do for this row. You're going to do 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then an increase. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you back when we get over here. Okay, and then when you're coming around to the end of your round, you'll have 3 stitches left, and then that slip stitch. So remember, you don't want to work there. So we're going to put 2 in a row by themselves. and then you'll end on that increase. Oop. And now after that row you should have 48 stitches. Sorry, I had to check my notes. You should have 48 stitches now. And we're going to slip stitch to that chain 3. Now we're going to chain 3 again. And we are going to do the same thing, but we're going to do 3 in a row now. So this is our first. We're going to go into that one that likes to hide. That's 2. And then 3. Oops. And then an increase. So now we just repeat that. Put 3 in a row. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back over here. So 3 in a row, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. So I'll meet you when we get over here. Okay, when you come around, you should have your 4 stitches left. So you'll do your 3 and end on your increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then end on our increase. Now, we are actually going to do one more increase, but it's a very small one. We're only going to bring it up 4 stitches. Go ahead and slip stitch here. What I wanted to say was, if you're using a 5 weight for this hat, you may want to go back down 1 increase. It kind of depends on how thick of a 5 weight you're using and whatnot, but you want to measure it, and you want it to be between 6 and 8 inches across. I'm interested to see if this yarn is going any different. No, we're about the same, and it'll probably be about 6.5 inches after we do this one last increase, which is fine. And if you're using 3 weight, you might want to do, instead of doing the increase I'm about to do, you might want to do one more in order. So you would do 4 in a row and an increase all the way around, and see where that measures. And just get it to between that 6 and 8 inches. So if it's not big enough after that one, then you would do 5 in a row and an increase. So, and like I said, with the 5 weight, you probably need less than even what we did here. But just measure it, and that'll be good enough. Now for this last increase on what we're doing here, if you're using a 4 weight, we're going to chain 3 again, counts as our first stitch, and we are actually going to do 14 in a row, including this one. So this is 1, so you need to do 13 in a row and then an increase. So remember, don't miss that one that likes to hide for 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then in the next one, we're going to put in an increase. So we're just increasing by 4 stitches this time. It's not a whole lot, but we're just bringing it up just a little bit. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to put 14 in a row and then an increase. 14 in a row and then an increase. And I'll meet you right when we're coming up towards the end here. Okay, I did my 14 coming around, and I have one last increase here. We're going to put that last increase. Oops, I think I went a little too high. I'm going to move this up a little bit here so I can come up here. There we go. So then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 again, and that'll finish off our increases. Go ahead and slip stitch that. Now, for the remainder, our chains are not going to count as anything. They're going to just be builders. I want to see what I got this to. Yep, about 7 inches. I was right. So, yes, you want to get it anywhere between 6 and 8 inches. And it'll give you a nice loose fit where it's just kind of like hanging like a spring summer kind of sun hat, you know. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2, and we are going to put a row of double crochets around. Normally we're just going to go around and put 1 row of double crochets in every stitch. So since this doesn't count, we want to go back into that chain and do a double crochet. And then we're going to go in every stitch and just put 1 double crochet in. We've got to build before we get to the next part a little bit. So this row and the next row are basically the same, but when we do the next row, it's going to be just a tad different. So go ahead and put 1 double in each stitch around, and I'll meet you when we come back over on this side. Okay, once you've gone all the way around with just 1 double in each stitch, you'll come around, and this time we're just gonna slip stitch in the first double, and then we're gonna chain 2 again, which is just a builder, doesn't count. And this time we're gonna do 1 double crochet around, but we're going to do it in the front loop only. So if you look at the top of your stitch, there's 2 loops it's made of. There's a back loop, and then there's a front loop right here. So facing you is the front loop, behind that's the back loop. So we're gonna do double crochets in that front loop only. So you're just gonna go into that front loop and do your double crochet, and you're gonna do that on each stitch. Just 1 double in the front loop only, around in every stitch. Oop. So just like that, all the way around. And I'll meet you when we come up around to this side, okay? Okay, when you come back around, you'll have this one last one here. And then don't worry about this. This is where we slip stitched. And now we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first double. Now, if you look on the inside of your hat, you'll see that we've created kind of like a ridge right there. That's the other loop. But I like the way the front loop gives a little bit of a rounded edge to this area. I don't know if you can see that in my camera, but you should be able to see that it gives like a rounded effect right here. And that was what I was going for that part of the hat. So now we're going to start the main pattern of the hat, which is those crossover, that crossover looking pattern. So now we're going to be working up here and down here. So we're working in 2 different rows. So to start out, we're going to chain 3. Okay. We are going to go 1 row below. So not here, but down here. And we're going to skip this one, and we're going to do a front post treble crochet around the third one. So you're going to yarn over twice. You're going to go behind that post. You're going to pull up and then pull through two, pull through two, pull through two. Now we're skipping the one we're coming out of because that's this stitch. The one next to it, in the middle basically, we're going to put a single crochet. Okay? Now we're going to go back down here and we're going to put another front post treble. So we're crossing back now. So you're going to yarn over twice. You're going to come back here to this first stitch, go underneath, grab your yarn, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two. Now you're going to skip another one and then put a single crochet in the next. So every stitch is accounted for. So you've got the two skipped ones for these, and then you've got a single crochet in the middle and a single crochet after. So now what we're going to do is we're skipping this one because that's our single crochet. And then we're going to skip two more and put our first front post treble around that fourth one. We're going to go behind. You're going to skip one. So you've got the one you worked in. Skip one. Single crochet in that middle one. Now we're going to double back, not to this one, to the second one we skipped. And we're going to yarn over twice. And then skip one more. I have that twisted weird. So you're going to skip one more and put a single in the next. Okay, so now let's do that again. We're skipping this one because that's our single crochet. And we got to skip two more. And this is the row below, remember. So skip this one, skip two more, and in this one, or around this one, we'll do our front post treble. And then see, this is where you're worked into. That's where your single crochet is. So you want to skip the next one, which is right here. Put a single in the next. And then you're going to come back and go skip one backwards and go to that one, because this one is your single crochet, so that one is just there. We want this one here. So you're working amongst 3 stitches. So you go there, come back one, and around that one. My yarn keeps getting stuck on my hook. So you're gonna skip one, because so this is the one you're worked in. If it would come into focus, this is where you're worked. You want to skip one. My camera is not wanting to focus, but you want to skip one and then single crochet in the next. And then that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. I'll do it one more time with you guys. So you're going to skip this one down below. So you're going down one row below. You're going to skip this one because this is your single crochet. So that doesn't even count. And then you skip 2, and around that one, you do your front post treble. Go behind and skip one and put a single in. Go down, go back one, and on around this one. So you're going back 2, sorry. You're going back 2, and you put your other front post treble. And then you skip one behind and put a single in the next. So you'll always finish it off with a single at the end, and then skip that one below, and then work in the next 3. Okay? So go ahead and follow that all the way back around, and I'll meet you when we get back to this area. Okay, when you come around, I did half of this last one. And then I did my middle single crochet, and I'm going to come back now and do the second part of the crossover. And then you'll have one stitch left to put that last single crochet. And then you're gonna go over here, skip the chain 3, and we're gonna slip stitch into the top of that first treble crochet there. Okay, and see, now you'll be able to see that rounded part right here where we did the front loop only. Like, it starts to round over, and it looks real pretty. I love it. Okay, so that's one row of the repeat. Now the second row couldn't be easier. It's just double crochet around. So you'll chain 2. For this row, you'll just chain 2. And you'll just go in and put 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And for video purposes, I was going to make a whole nother hat, but I think I'm just going to shorten it. I'm going to just show you guys one more time how to do the cross row, and then I will jump into doing the brim, and then we'll make the flower, because it's getting late where I am, and I want to get this uploaded for you guys, because I'm real sorry, you guys. I haven't been on top of getting videos made. I went through a couple days of not feeling all too good, and then I just have not been sleeping good still, so I had a few days to just relax and try to do a little bit of nothing. So that's just a little piece into me, but I'd like to get this video posted for you guys today, so I'm gonna do the rush version. Not rushing to show you, just not completing the whole hat. We'll see what happens. I might be able to whip it up pretty quick, and then we'll see. So go ahead for this row and just put 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you when we come back up to this side. Okay, when you come back around, you'll have this one last single crochet to get into with your last double, and then just slip stitch to the top of that first double. So from here on out, the chains don't count as anything from in this section of the hat. The chains just counted when we were doing the increases. So that's what we're going to repeat. Now I'm going to show you the crossover row one more time just to make sure you guys have it. So we're going to chain 3. For this row, you chain 3. For the row of doubles, you chain 2. This is just so that we can stretch it across. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually work around these posts that we made in the previous. So we're going to yarn over twice, and we're just going to go around that post we created from the row prior. And we're still going to skip 1 and put the single crochet in. And then we're going to come back and work around this one now. So yarn over twice, go under there. So now it's fairly easy. And then you skip 1 and put your last single. So now it's fairly easy because you're just going to follow it around. You don't have to count stitches anymore. You just work around these, the posts that have been created, and then do your singles in between it. So it goes by fairly quickly if you're not really paying attention and you just go. It goes by pretty quick. Because I whipped that hat up yesterday. I mean, with interruptions, it only took a couple of hours. So you could get it done fairly quickly. I don't know a house with a mom that doesn't get interrupted, though. So, I mean, there's that. So that's what you're going to repeat. You're going to work around the posts now. And then when you get done with this, then you'll do your row of double crochet. Then you'll do the cross row again. And I brought mine. You know what? I have to move this real quick. I want to remember here, because I didn't take this super tall because I wanted it to be more of a summer, you know, spring, summer sun kind of hat. So I didn't want it to go over the ears or anything like that. But folded perfectly in half to before the brim is 7 inches. So I brought it 7 inches tall, basically, and then added the brim. So how many rows? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's about 11 rows is what it is, with the cross and the double crochet row. So it's about 11 rows. But it's up to you and what yarn you're using too. So you want to make sure it's about 7 inches tall, because that'll hit just above the ear, maybe the top of the ear, and then it just lays nicely above the eye line. So, and then once you get that done, we'll meet back up and I'll show you how I did the brim. And like I said, you could add a few, you know, like 1, 2, 3 more rows of just double crocheting around to make this brim longer. This particular color I had run out of, so I couldn't add any more. This was as far as it would let me go. And this is only 2 rows. So you could do, well, I did 1 row here of just double crochet around, but it was another front loop only one, so that it rounded it nicely there. And then I added the brim. So I'll show you when we get down there. So, but finish off on a double crochet, or on a crisscross row, because then the row of double crochet we're going to do after is going to be that front loop only row. So finish on a crisscross row, however tall you get it to. And we'll meet back. I'll figure out if I'm going to make this whole hat or if I'm just going to finish this row. And then we'll meet back and I'll show you the brim and we'll go to the flower. Okay guys, I have been making this video over a couple of days and I went too far, but I'm going to show you what I did. So hopefully you ended on a crisscross row. And then what you're going to do is after you slip stitch, you're going to do a row of double crochet like we did, you know, here. Oh, and I did something a little different. I brought in my other color towards the bottom here. And then I'm going to do the brim in this color. So I wanted to bring it in a little bit before and then have it as the brim. So it was just something I tried while I was working on this, because I wanted to show you guys how versatile this is. Like, you could even do it opposite and have this color on the outside. But I had already done all this in this color, so I wanted to stay the same. Plus, I knew I wanted this as the brim, so it worked out perfectly. So it's just at the very bottom, but I thought that looked pretty. But anyway, so now pretend like this row isn't here. You're on this crisscross row and you're going to chain 2 just like you're going to do your double crochets. But the only difference is you're going to yarn over and we're just going to work in that front loop again. So you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to put a double crochet all the way around, but you're just going to do it in this front loop here like we did at the top of the hat. And it gives that little bit of a rounded look right there. And then we're going to make it the brim. So this will push it out a little bit. So that's what you're going to do for that row. Go ahead and pause me here and then get that done and then we'll meet back. So when you come around and you do your last one, you'll slip stitch just like every other row that you've done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work in both loops now. Don't worry about the loops anymore. And we're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. So we're just going to put 2 doubles in each stitch. So this will make it a little bit bigger and it'll start sticking out a little bit. So just put 2 doubles in each stitch all the way around. We're getting close to being done, but with the brim, I'll show you what I meant about how you can make it longer when we get to that part. We're going to do this row. We have 1 more increase And that's where I stopped on the other one because I ran out of yarn. But I'll show you how to make it longer. So I'll meet you back. Okay, and when you're coming around, you'll do these last couple here. And not grab the other yarn. Jeez. I'm always snagging stuff. Okay. I'm forever a mess, you guys. But I just want to share these patterns with you because I get so excited about it. Okay, then you're going to slip stitch. And you're going to chain your 2. And now we're going to do one more row of increases. We are going to do 1 in where we slip stitched. And then we're going to do an increase. So we're going to put 2 in the next. And that's what we're going to repeat. We're going to do 1 by itself. And then we're going to do an increase. Well, we're going to try at least. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so that's our repeat. 1 by itself. And then an increase. Now, this is the row where I ended my other one because I had run out of yarn. But you can, after this row, and I think I'm going to stop after this row anyways, just for video purpose so I can get this done for you guys. But after this row, you can do one more row of increase, which will be 2 in a row and an increase, and then 2 and then an increase. And then after that, if you just want it to be longer, you can add just 1 double crochet around, and it'll give you a little bit more length and width on your brim, and it'll lay more out to block the sun, you know. So, but for video purposes, I'm just going to finish this row. I'll meet you guys before we get to the end, and then you guys can make your brim however big or small you want, and then we'll do the flower. But let's finish this row and I'll meet you back, and then we'll go from there. Okay, when you come around, you should have 2 stitches left. So you put your 1, and then you always end on an increase. And then we're going to slip stitch. And like I said, you could be done here and just have a small little brim, or you can keep going. So what you would do now is you would do 2 in a row and an increase, 2 in a row and an increase all the way around, because that brings it wider too. And then after that row, you could put just 1 row of or double crochet around, and that'll just give you a little more length instead of width. Or if you want to keep going wider, I mean, the hat itself is not a huge hat, so you don't want your brim to be too big, but you can make it as big or as small as you want. If you want to be done here like I am, then you can. And see how that edge is nice and rounded? I like that. When you wear it, it looks so cute. But this is where I'm stopping for this. You could also do a row of single crochet around just to do like an edging, just 1 single crochet around. But I'm going to be done at this point so I can get this video done for you guys. So, and then you just have to go around sewing in all your edges, all your ends, which I will do off camera because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me sew in ends. But so now I'm going to get my other yarn for my flower and get set up, and then we will make the flower and we will be complete. So I'll meet you back. Okay, once you get your color that you're going to do your flower in already, we're going to use the same hook that we used with the hat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. We are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to come back to this first chain, and we're going to slip stitch to that chain to form a ring. Okay, and we are going to work in the middle of that ring. If I could grab the yarn. We are going to chain 1, and we are going to put 12 single crochets in the middle of this circle here. 2, 3, 4, And make sure you work around this end here because it'll help a little bit. So go ahead and put 12 single crochets around and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, once you come back around, you're going to pull on that end and pull it as tight as you can. You're going to have a little bit of a hole there, but that's fine. You just pull it as tight as you can, and then we're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. Okay? And then right back in to the stitch we're coming out of, you're going to yarn over. You're going to go in there, and you're going to pull up a loop. And you want to pull it up to match your chain 3. Like, pull it up pretty tall. Yarn over, go back into that same spot, pull up a loop. Keep them pretty tall. Now we're going to jump to the next stitch. Don't do anything yet. Leave that on your hook. We're going to jump to the next stitch. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to go in there, and you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to do that 3 times. Go back in, pull up a loop. Do it one more time. Go in, pull up a loop. Now you're going to have, it's basically 2 sets of 3 because you're including your chain 3 with that. We're going to pull through all of that and then chain 2. And now we're going to jump to this next stitch here, right next to it, and we're going to slip stitch, which is going to make it pop out. Okay? And now we're going to do that all over again. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now where you're coming out of, you're going to do it twice because this is counted as your first one. So you're going to do it 2 more times. 1, 2 in that stitch. Now you're going to jump to the next and do it 3. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop for 1, 2, 3. And now you're going to pull through all of these. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 loops. And you're going to pull through all of them. And then you're going to chain 2. And you're going to slip stitch in the next. And then that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. So let's do it one more time together. You're going to chain 3. That counts as your first pull up. Now you're going to yarn over and go right into that same stitch and pull up 2 more times. So that counts as 3. Now right into the next stitch, you're going to do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now you want to pull through all of that. Chain 2, slip stitch in the next. And then that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. So go ahead and finish it off to the end, and I'll meet you when we get over here. Okay, then when you come around and you're at your last one, you chain 2, we're going to go down here underneath where this first one's coming out of, and we're going to slip stitch in there just to finish it off. And that'll be the end of it, and you can tie off. Now, what you could actually do is you could leave a long tail. I didn't last time because I didn't even think about it, but you could leave yourself a long tail because we're going to sew this onto the hat. And if this is connected, it makes it a little bit easier. This is the front of your flower here where it's popping out. And you can pull this as tight as you can. Now, a good way to, if you want to get it a little tighter, is just to sew in the opposite direction as it's coming out of there. So see, it's coming out this way. So I'm going to go in backwards from where it's coming. And it's pretty tight, so be careful, because there's so many single crochets on there. But you pull it opposite and then just pull that tight, and it'll pull it in a little bit. You'll still have a little bit of an opening, but it's not bad. And then you can get rid of that end, and then we'll sew it on with this end, this tail that we left on. So I'm going to thread up my handy dandy green needle. I love these needles. I need to order more because I ruined one. Okay, I didn't sew in any of my ends yet. Sue me. But just pick any place because it all looks the same. I mean, if you want to find where your join is, that would work too. Somewhere in this area, we can just put it there because it all is the same basically. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of this and I'm going to come through, but I'm going to go through these spots here, like where we worked into those stitches. And I'm going to pull that through. Now that we're in, I'm going to just go all the way around and I'm going to go all the way through now and pull that through. And then I'm just going to come back up into like the next area here. And then I'm just going to do that all the way around, back and forth. And just make sure you're up a little bit from the brim so that it kind of sits on the brim like that. And I go every other one. I don't really do every single one because there's really no need. You're just trying to stabilize it. Like the first few, I did every one, and then I did every other one. And you want to make sure you finish on the inside of the hat. So we'll come up here and we'll go through one more time because we're back where we started, right there. Oh, I got out of camera, but we're going to go back in and make sure I was trying to look at this while I was doing it. But you want to make sure you come in on the inside so that you can sew this in where no one will see it. You know, and then just sew it in wherever. But I would sew it in nice and tight. Like back and forth a few times. I went through that stitch. Good golly, Miss Molly, you guys. Lynn is a mess all the time. I mean, that's mom brain. That's wife brain. I'm just crazy, I guess. Please tell me I am not the only one. Okay. We're going to go through one more time just to make sure. I get paranoid when I sew stuff on. So, like, I like to make sure it's almost overly sewed in so that sucker isn't going anywhere. But there we go. Now we can tie off. And I'll sew in all my ends, I promise. It's just the worst part of every project. But then there you go. And then you got a little flower on there right above the brim. And you can lay it off to the side of your head. It's very pretty. I love this hat. I hope you guys love this hat as much as I do. I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already or you're new to my channel, I ask you to subscribe. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. That would be great too. You can check me out on Facebook. I have a group on there, same name. I'm on Instagram. I post all my projects there. If you ever see anything that you'd like a tutorial on, send me a comment. You can find both links at the top of my channel page. It's a quick click and it'll take you there. And yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy throughout this whole thing going on. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.